Developing right now on Morning News Now, a super soaker on the West Coast this morning. Tens of millions of people bracing for more wet weather from a strong storm system that's already wreaked havoc on California. We're tracking the conditions right now and where that storm is headed later today. Shock and sadness in the UK over news that King Charles is being treated for cancer. What we're learning about his diagnosis, plus reaction and what happens next for the royal family. Also remembering an icon breaking this morning, country music legend Toby Keith has passed away. We'll look back at his life and his decades-long career. And just me, myself, and Psy. Turns out there is such a thing as being too independent. Why experts say relying only on yourself for everything could be hurting your relationships. Or there's the alternative, like me, where I hate to be alone.
You rely on everyone for everything.
Yes.
We'll find the happy medium. We're going to work on that this morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for joining us. We're going to get started with that severe weather system slamming California, bringing historic rainfall to the region.
President Biden is pledging federal help after Southern California got 6 to 12 inches over the last 2 days. It's one of the wettest periods in SoCal history. Fallen trees have killed at least 3 people, and the storm is creating dangerous conditions all across the region with severe flooding and mudslides in several areas.
The Los Angeles Fire Department has carried out several water rescues. A firefighter captured this video of a crew rescuing a man who jumped in a raging river to rescue his dog. And this morning, the rain isn't over in Southern California. San Diego is expected to get more wet weather throughout the day.
NBC News meteorologist Angie Lastman is more on the storm and where it is headed next. We're going to get to her in just a moment. But first, we begin with NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin. She joins us from San Diego with the latest. So, Dana, what's it looking like there? What can people expect for their morning commute?
Joe, Savannah, good morning. Right now, we're getting some steady rain right now, still pretty light compared to the additional rain that is expected to hit later this morning. We are in the South Crest neighborhood where 2 weeks ago, San Diego experienced that historic flooding that caused millions of dollars worth of damage and turned neighborhoods like this into rushing rivers. People forced to climb on top of their roofs and cars as those vehicles were swept away in some areas. Right now, things are pretty mild. We are seeing some minor flooding in areas, but nothing too major causing too much concern right now. But officials are still warning people to watch for the potential of flooding. There's a flood watch in effect here in San Diego. Up in Los Angeles County, there is still flash flood warnings, and they really received the brunt of this storm yesterday as mud flow and debris filled several neighborhoods, causing landslides and mudslides. Even some cars got stuck in the mud there. It's still 4 o'clock in the morning here on the West Coast, so people are still probably in their beds, but come in a few hours when they start to hit the roads, people are probably going to need to take it slow as they head to work. Savannah?
Dana, tell us about the damages that people are seeing in the wake of these storms. I know you're in San Diego. You mentioned just how bad it was this last time around. What are people dealing with in this as they try to start to clean up?
Yeah, thousands of people have experienced damage to their homes. Several people have experienced flooding. Some of those debris flows have come into neighborhoods, landslides. So it's concerning for a lot of people because, this storm is wreaking havoc just across the counties here in Southern California. In Los Angeles counties, there was one neighborhood where they had several trees come down. So And I think that's the big concern here because there have now been 3 confirmed deaths, people killed by falling trees. So if you don't have to step outside, if you don't have to be near a tree, don't try to touch anything now because you've still got a lot of saturated soil. So it is possible for trees and power lines to still come down even as the storm moves on. This is going to last for a couple of days. But here in San Diego, nothing too major. There was a minor sinkhole that opened up a little north of where we are now. But again, this storm is still moving through, so we could possibly see more damage throughout the day.
Dana, a lot of folks are living with all this without any power. Just where do things stand with power outages in the state?
Yeah, I just checked in. There's about 150,000 people across the state without power. Most of those power outages are concentrated in Northern California and in Los Angeles County. So power crews are working to get the power restored. So we'll be monitoring that throughout the day.
All right.
Back to you.
Dana Griffin. Dana, thank you so much.
And now let's get a check on your Morning News Now weather.
Meteorologist Angie Lassman has more on the storm and the forecast. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. We know from what Dana just showed us, the system is not done with the west just yet. We've still got plenty of alerts up. We still have some impactful days ahead as it starts to march to the east. So let's talk about these winter alerts first. 1 million of folks included in that. You can see it in the brighter white there. The flood alerts, though, close to 30 million. Those are still extended into portions of Southern California and out over crossing into that Arizona state line. Phoenix included in that, LA, San Diego, all have the potential to see some flooding through the day today. We've got the wind alerts up for 8 million as well across portions of Arizona. Here's the radar this morning. Dana mentioned still really early there, but notice just how consistent this rain continues to be. We've continued to break record daily rainfall records across many of these locations over the past couple of days. And today we're going to add some additional rain onto that and onto those totals. Here's the system and how it plays out over the next couple of days. Notice as we go through the day today, we start to really see the snow ramping up in portions of the Rockies. That's something we'll see not just today, but even into tomorrow. It'll be heavy at times, and that means that the travel is going to be difficult. But we're still dealing with, unfortunately, more rain across portions of Southern California. We know how much they've received over the past few days, a month's worth of rain in a day in some spots. So again, these concerns are going to remain when it comes to the flooding. By the time we get into your Wednesday and into the rest of the work week, the system does finally start to move out of the west, but the snow continues across the Rockies. The strong winds will be once again something to contend with across that region and making travel difficult. And then by the time we get into Thursday, we're getting to the end of our work week, but the snow will start to blanket portions of the northern plains. We'll see rain working ahead of that system as well, with the Great Lakes picking up some rainfall. And it'll be once again something that will slow us down as we wrap up our work week. Flash flood risk, though, through the day today. Impressive rainfall rates. Again, it's not going to take much to see some flooding across this region that's picked up so much rain, guys. LA, San Diego, Phoenix, all included in the slight risk of those areas. So those are the spots that you're really going to want to watch, extending down to Yuma. And you can see another inch to 2 inches. LA, Oceanside, San Diego, again, Phoenix, areas north of there. This is going to be something that we deal with through Wednesday. So we're not done with that threat just yet. When it comes to snowfall, I think a lot of folks at ski resorts are going to be happy about this. But again, it makes the travel difficult. We've got up to 1 foot to 1.5 feet expected in some of those highest mountain peaks across the Rockies.
After Wednesday, then maybe a little bit of a break for the West Coast?
A little bit of a break, okay. Yes. And they'll need it, of course, to dry out from all the rain they've received in such a short period of time. So
absolutely. Angie, thank you. See you in a bit.
This morning, we are following the reaction to the news that King Charles has been diagnosed with cancer. Buckingham Palace made the announcement in a statement yesterday, saying the cancer is not related to his recent treatment for an enlarged prostate. NBC News foreign correspondent Molly Hunter reports from Buckingham Palace.
Buckingham Palace announcing King Charles III has been diagnosed with a form of cancer. Just a week after the 75-year-old monarch was released from a London hospital following a routine prostate procedure. In good spirits, walking out, waving to the crowd with wife Queen Camilla by his side. In the statement released, the palace not saying what kind of cancer it is, only revealing that during the king's recent hospital procedure for benign prostate enlargement, a separate issue of concern was noted. Subsequent diagnostic tests have identified a form of cancer. According to Buckingham Palace, Charles began outpatient treatment in London.
So the King, actually, by disclosing some of those personal details about his prostate issues just recently, was in some ways breaking with tradition. The Queen was certainly much more private about her health.
The palace confirms he shared his diagnosis personally with sons Harry and William, and a source close to Harry and Meghan tells NBC News Harry will travel to the UK to visit his father in coming days. Charles, who's been king for just 18 months, will continue to undertake state business and official paperwork and will postpone upcoming events.
I think we will expect to see certainly William do more duties over the next couple of months, which will be difficult for him.
According to the palace, Queen Camilla will continue with a full schedule of royal duties.
Our thanks to Molly Hunter for that report. We will see Queen Camilla outperforming those royal duties. We just learned we will actually see Prince William return to public engagements for the first time since his wife Kate had abdominal surgery. She is expected, though, to be out of the public eye until after Easter.
For more on this, we are joined by NBC News medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar. Dr. Azar, thanks for being here. I know we keep having you come to talk about royal health when we don't have that many details, but I guess the first question is just how common is it to determine that you have cancer when you were there for something totally different?
So this particular procedure and finding an incidental cancer, experts are saying anywhere between like 5 and 10% of times that this will happen. And what people should understand too is that oftentimes when you're doing a procedure for something that you are presuming is benign, there is what we refer to as an incidental finding. When you go in and do a resection of any type, and in this case, they're taking out tissue of a benign prostate, right, because of this prostate hypertrophy, they're going to take biopsies of the tissue. They sampled the prostate. They determined that there was no incidental finding of prostate cancer there. But if they saw any abnormal-looking cells when they were going in the urethral lining or the bladder, they were going to take biopsies of that area. So the presumption is that that's what happened, that they were in there and they took samples, either normal-looking tissue or maybe abnormal-looking tissue, and then when they actually analyzed it under a microscope, they determined that there was some type of cancer there.
So the king just turned 75 years old. How big of a factor is age when it comes, first of all, to fighting the cancer, but then also when it'll come to him, like, trying to perform his duties while battling this?
Well, of course, it depends what type, right? And of course, is it a low grade? Is it a high grade tumor? I think everything that we have gotten so far, which I know is not a lot, would suggest that this hopefully is a very early stage, probably restricted to the genitourinary system, so whether it was partially from the urethra or maybe from the bladder, that it's something early stage and he's starting treatments as an outpatient. That's always a good sign. And we're getting a lot of optimistic tone from the palace, which I think is important. A much more concerning situation would be if there was a cancer that had metastasized to the prostate. That would indicate a much more serious diagnosis and prognosis. I think he's going to do quite well. But of course, yes, age is always a factor in terms of being able to tolerate treatment. But if it is something that is very local, very early stage, the treatment may not even involve anything systemic, but rather local therapy, for example, in the bladder or something like that. He should tolerate it quite well.
While we still have a lot of questions, I've been pretty amazed by how open the palace has been in this particular instance, especially, historically, that's not always the case. And they said that the king is doing so to help public understanding.
Yes.
What do you think this could do for the public about, increasing cancer screenings, that type of thing, when they see somebody in a position like this sharing that? And what should people remember about things like that?
Yeah, and we talked about this, I think, when the king first underwent the procedure itself, that having a conversation about your prostate, especially for men, is something that people aren't necessarily comfortable with. And even though he was not diagnosed with prostate cancer, it does raise the topic of prostate cancer screening and how important it is for men to have this conversation with their healthcare provider about when to start. A really important new update, actually, that I want to share with you is that the Prostate Cancer Foundation, which is separate from the American Cancer Society and the task force, of course, that sets a lot of guidelines, has really been pushing for Black men to get screened earlier between the ages of 40 and 45 because the benefit to them clearly outweighs the potential risk of overdiagnosis. And I think that that's a message that we need to keep on sending to men. We talk a lot about the fact that the PSA test is not a perfect test for screening, but it's really all we've got. And it is an important test in the right population of individuals who are at high risk, and Black men do disproportionately make up that group.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was putting out that message just last week.
Exactly. So a lot of vocal, a lot of high, what do you call it?
Profile.
Profile,
exactly.
Thank you.
Which we know increases people getting screened and things like that. And it's just a reminder, just regular, checkups and appointments can always catch a lot of things that you wouldn't expect, right?
Doc, what cancer screenings do I need to do this year? That should be one of the first questions you ask your doctor every year.
And if something feels wrong or you know your own body, start to flag it, even if you're not in those windows of screening ages.
And that's the other thing. When you find something incidentally before it is causing symptoms, the inference there is that it's an earlier stage, which is always important. But if you wait for something to, symptoms for months and months and months, that could portend a little bit of a worse prognosis.
Yeah. All right. Dr. Azar, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Breaking this morning, country music icon Toby Keith has passed away after battling stomach cancer. A statement posted to Keith's website and social media says he, quote, passed peacefully last night on February 5th, surrounded by his family. He fought his fight with grace and courage. Keith sold between 25 and 30 million records. His hits included Should Have Been a Cowboy, As Good As I Once Was, and Beer for My Horses. The singer first announced that he was living with the disease back in June of 2022. Toby Keith was 62 years old.
Well, this morning there are reports of new drone attacks by Iran-backed Houthi militants on ships in the Red Sea, despite a recent barrage of retaliatory strikes by the U.S. NBC News Pentagon correspondent Courtney Kuby is the only reporter embedded with the Navy in the Red Sea and has this exclusive look at the U.S. efforts to stop the attacks.
The Iranian-backed Houthi militia again firing on commercial ships in the Red Sea and vowing more is to come, despite new U.S. retaliatory strikes designed to deter them.
We will not hesitate to defend lives and the free flow of commerce.
We were there on Saturday night just after 10 p.m. when the U.S. and British military hit 36 Houthi targets in 13 locations.
We're on the deck of the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower aircraft carrier in the southern Red Sea. This is where, over the weekend, more than 24 U.S. military aircraft took off to conduct strikes against the Houthi rebels in Yemen.
Captain Marvin Scott flew an F-A-18 in those strikes, calling them a success.
We do extensive mission planning. Everyone launches knowing, what the game plan is. We rarely miss.
Lieutenant Commander Alex Morgan is a helicopter pilot.
Did we think we'd be doing it here in the Red Sea? My crystal ball was broken that day, but the way we do it hasn't changed dramatically.
The commander of the carrier strike group telling us there is still significant danger here.
How big of a threat do the Houthis pose to freedom of navigation right now?
A substantial threat. They could attack a commercial ship, render it somewhat immobile, and could bog the strait up for weeks, if not months.
And he says the Houthis are getting critical help from Iran.
They are getting intelligence from Iran. They are using Iran to give them some targeting information.
The commanding officer saying all of it creates a threat to the U.S. military, too.
Are you worried about the safety of the sailors on this ship?
Absolutely. Am I worried about the safety of the ship? Every single day.
This comes as the U.S. is also retaliating against the Iranian-backed militias responsible for a drone attack that killed 3 U.S. soldiers, hitting 85 targets in 7 locations inside Iraq and Syria on Friday. The president has been under pressure to respond more forcefully, with over 160 attacks by Iranian-backed militants against American targets since October. Mr. Biden declaring the new U.S. strikes a success.
Are the strikes working, Mr. President? Yes.
Meanwhile, these missions are also leaving a mark with the American service members carrying them out.
Seeing missiles being launched from aircraft, the explosions associated with all of these things. It's a lot of sights and sounds that will be etched in my brain forever.
President Biden says these strikes are working. But even after the airstrikes in Iraq and Syria on Friday night, there are now reports of at least 2 more incidents where Iranian-backed militias targeted bases with Americans in Syria. But as of now, there have been no reports of any injuries.
All right, Courtney, thank you so much.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with the Egyptian president in Cairo this morning. It's the latest stop in his 5th visit to the region since the war between Israel and Hamas began. Blinken is trying to make progress in the negotiations for a ceasefire and the release of the remaining hostages. He's also trying to send the message that the U.S. is not looking for a war with Iran.
Egypt is Blinken's 2nd stop on this Middle East tour. Yesterday, he sat down with Saudi's Crown Prince to discuss regional coordination to end the war, as well as what Gaza should look like once the fighting is over.
NBC News foreign correspondent Matt Bradley joins us now from Tel Aviv with the very latest. Matt, good morning. So let's start with that meeting between Secretary Blinken and the Saudi Crown Prince. What did they talk about, and what happens next now in this push for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas?
Yeah, well, Joel, I'll get the second question first here. He's going to be traveling to Qatar and to here in Israel and also to the Israeli-occupied West Bank, all part of these negotiations on an endgame for the war in Gaza and that prisoner negotiation of the hostage deal to release more than 100 hostages, 6 of them Americans that are still being held in the Gaza Strip. Now, in addition to all of that, as you were just describing, there is that on the table. There's the end game for the Gaza Strip. There's also a much more ambitious plan that Blinken is trying to do as part of the Biden administration's initiative to perhaps recognize a Palestinian state. Now, this would require something from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia would essentially be able to underwrite this deal in exchange for some sort of defense pact with the United States, some technology transfers, and it sounds like maybe contributing to the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip. This is part of Biden's new initiative to kind of rebuild the Middle East from the ashes of what's been going on in the Gaza Strip. Now, in addition to that, the main goal of this trip, really, in addition to the hostage negotiations, is trying to assuage all of the U.S.'s partners in the region, trying to tell them that the U.S.'s attacks against Iran-backed groups in Iraq and Syria, now the Houthis in Yemen, you just heard that story, that this is not part of an escalation in the fight against Iran. That might be a hard sell, considering that the U.S. has vowed to have weeks of retribution and retaliation against these Iran-backed groups. Guys?
Matt, let's talk about what's happening on the ground in Gaza. The Israeli military says it's close to achieving its mission in Han Yunis. What exactly does that mean? What was the mission? What does that mean they have accomplished? And what about all the people that had evacuated to that city?
Yeah, well, it's part and parcel with Israel's broader mission in the Gaza Strip, which is to defeat Hamas, but also to try to free the hostages, of which their military efforts have only released one hostage. So far, all of the hostages, except for that one, have been released through negotiated deals like the one that Anthony Blinken is trying to negotiate right now. So the IDF has circled Han Yunis. They've signaled that they are essentially within earshot of victory now there. And they're turning their gun sights onto the more southern city of Rafah, which is right along the Gazan border with Egypt. That is where the remaining, millions of people who have fled the northern parts of the Gaza Strip are remaining. And so, really, we're talking about almost all of the Gaza Strip has now come under Israeli fire and Israeli attack. There is no place for these many, many civilians to hide. Guys?
And Matt, finally, the UN Secretary General has appointed now a former French foreign minister to lead the investigation into UNRWA. What more can you tell us about that?
Yes, this is a very experienced diplomat, a former French ambassador to the UK, and she has broad approval among all the different parties in France. And so she's someone who's in a position to deliver a report that's thought to come by the end of March. A final report is thought to come by the end of April on whether or not the allegations that Israel has leveled against UNRWA are true. The 12 staff members of UNRWA participated in those October 7th attacks. Now, this is something that UNRWA has basically said they are looking into. They have fired those 12 people, but they are really despairing of the fact that so many countries, more than a dozen, have withdrawn their funding, at least temporarily, from UNRWA. This is an organization that provides the vast bulk of all of the aid going to the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. So really, there is a very, very acute need for funding to continue to UNRWA if they're supposed to keep propping up the civilian population there. Guys?
Right. Matt Bradley. Matt, thank you so much.
There is much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, safe to fly. This morning, the head of the FAA set to face lawmakers after last month's mid-air emergency on board a Boeing 737 MAX 9. We'll tell you the latest on the fallout.
But up first, after the break, a growing border battle on Capitol Hill. Why some Senate Republicans are now threatening to block the same bill they negotiated. We'll be right back. We're back now with growing frustrations over the migrant crisis here in New York. Mayor Eric Adams is defending a new pilot program that would see some migrant families receiving up to $1,000 a month. This as the city defends how it handled recent crimes involving migrants. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin has the latest.
New York City's mayor pushing back on criticism of a new $50 million program to hand out prepaid debit cards to migrant families.
We need to dispel the rumor that we gave American Express cards to everyone.
Adams insisting the prepaid cards would curb the cost of inefficient food distribution that has led to expensive food waste, potentially saving taxpayers roughly $7 million a year. Adding the cards can only be used for food and baby supplies, with a limit of up to $1,000 per month for a family of 4.
If this is successful, we're going to expand it even more.
The pilot program drawing immediate criticism, including from rapper 50 Cent, who went on to social media to vent his frustration. writing maybe Trump is the answer.
I told 50 Cent to hit me up. I would love to explain it to him.
And over the weekend, Texas Governor Greg Abbott joining the choir of criticism while on Fox News, calling the program insanity.
It may be the most reprehensible thing that I've seen take place over the past 48 hours.
It's the latest effort by New York City officials to deal with the ongoing migrant surge. More than 173,000 migrants and asylum seekers have arrived in New York City since the spring of 2022. Both the New York Democratic governor and the mayor have been pleading for federal support, insisting the city is at a breaking point.
This has hurt us. And where the White House needs to make adjustments.
The move as the search continues for migrants who were caught on camera attacking 2 New York City police officers last month. 7 suspects were arrested and 6 of those were released without bond. Police say they believe at least 6 more people were involved.
Get them all and send them back. You don't touch our police officers.
Governor Kathy Hochul now publicly challenging Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, saying she believes none of the migrants should have been released without bond.
An assault on a police officer means that she should be sitting in jail.
Bragg defending his decision while condemning the attack, saying he didn't request bail out of caution, adding he needed to send the right people to jail.
The video is the start of the process, not the end. We will continue to work to identify all those responsible and will hold them accountable for their specific roles.
Tonight, the Big Apple looking to D.C. for answers as a $118 billion bipartisan bill moves through Congress to impose tougher asylum and border laws.
Our thanks to Aaron McLaughlin for that report. New York Governor Kathy Hochul now calling on the state's congressional delegation to support that bipartisan border security deal, calling it the most significant immigration reform in decades.
Yes, however, on Capitol Hill, that bipartisan border deal could already be in trouble. Some Senate Republicans are threatening to block it, even though it was negotiated by fellow Republicans just one day earlier.
For more, we're joined now by NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin. So, Julie, what can you tell us about this seeming about face? What are Senate Republicans saying?
Well, Senate Republicans are now saying that this bill does not fix the border security problems. Of course, this is an about face because the very same people who are now saying they don't want the bill actually instructed Senator James Lankford, a conservative from Oklahoma, to sit down and work across the aisle to try and fix this problem 4 months ago. But the real issue here lies actually with the House. The fact that Speaker Mike Johnson and his leadership team have said this bill is dead on arrival, it is giving some Senate Republicans pause in saying, why would we support it if this bill's not even going to go anywhere in the lower chamber, And of course, there's a whole lot of politics involved here too. Here's what Johnson had to say yesterday.
But what they produce for us right now really isn't a border security bill. It's an immigration bill, and that is not what is needed for the moment. I told him that this is not personal. I have great respect for Senator Lankford, and he's a friend, but the product itself is not worth the House's consideration here, and that's why it's dead on arrival.
Now, meanwhile, Senator Lankford, Senator Kirsten Sinema, Chris Murphy, all of those who were involved in this bill have said we will brief whoever wants to read this bill. Of course, the bill was released Sunday night. Some Republicans are calling for weeks to read it. And Senator Lankford said, how can you already be a no minutes after the bill was released?
So, Julie, where does that mean things go from here? I mean, do we still anticipate there being a vote? Where do things stand now?
Yeah, that's really the big question. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer on the floor yesterday actually kicked off the process to get the vote process going. The first vote, a procedural one, set to take place tomorrow. The problem is what happened and the events that unfolded yesterday evening. Behind closed doors, Senate Republicans met. Senate Minority Leader McConnell, who is very supportive of this legislation, actually saw the writing on the wall and said, listen, if this bill is going to fail tomorrow, let's just vote against it and take some time to maybe read the bill, to offer some amendments, to try and alter the bill and tweak it. That doesn't mean McConnell and others who've suggested the same don't support the process or the bill itself, but they do want to give it a little bit more time because they don't want Republicans to tank the bill just because they didn't have adequate time to read it yet. So it's really an open question.
And Julie, this border deal also includes aid for Israel and Ukraine. So if this bill ends up dying, what happens to that aid? Is there a way to get that through a loan?
It's a really good question, and it's something McConnell, who very much supports Ukraine aid, suggested might happen a few weeks ago because he sees the politics of the moment. Of course, we are in an election year. The former president is railing against the border security bill. He doesn't want it to go through, and certainly Republicans are listening to him. Then what happens to Ukraine and Israel aid is a very big question. The House is moving a standalone Israel aid bill without those offsets that you saw happen in the fall. We do expect some Democrats to support that bill. The White House already said they would veto that. That's because there's no Ukraine aid attached to it, the border security policies as well. But that really is a big question because, of course, Ukraine is running out of time. They need the lethal aid particularly. And so this is something that Senate and Democrat and Republican leadership is going to consider. House Republicans, of course, don't want that Ukraine aid to go through. So this is really all tied together.
All right, Julie Sirkin, thank you very much.
Coming up first in the West, it's primary day in Nevada. When we come back, we're going to explain why only Nikki Haley is competing for the Republican vote today.
And more adults embracing their inner child. We'll talk about why a little playtime could be key to coping with stress. This is Morning News Now.
Welcome back. Today in Nevada, voters will be taking part in the state's Democratic and Republican primaries. Here's the thing, though. On the GOP side, only former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley is going to compete, not former President Donald Trump.
That is because on Thursday, the state GOP will host the Republican presidential caucuses, which will be the only contest used to actually award those delegates.
All right, for more on all this confusing stuff, we're joined by NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen. John, good to have you with us. So explain this to us. Why is Nevada having a primary and a caucus? Feels like a waste, but I don't know. What should we know about that?
Yeah, no, if you're a Nikki Haley fan, you get to vote in the primary that Donald Trump's not in. If you're a Donald Trump fan, you get to vote in the caucus that Nikki Haley's not in. Everybody gets to claim they're a winner. The reason, though, that there is a split here is the state of Nevada decided that they would move from a caucus system to a primary system. The Republican Party of Nevada decided that they didn't like that. They wanted to keep the caucus, which tends to be a smaller turnout affair, but they say that they can apply election integrity standards better. So the party is going to have a caucus, which means that Donald Trump will win all of the delegates to the Republican National Convention from Nevada.
John, is there concern that this system that's kind of confusing could hamper turnout?
There's concern. I mean, not only do you have this sort of bifurcated system, but they are actually held on different days, right? So you have primary one day, caucus 2 days away, which means that some of the people that thought they were going to vote in one will end up having voted in the other. It's again, there's just been so much chaos in our elections, and some of it, sort of intentionally injected by people who are guardians of elections, whether that's at the state level or at the party level. I'm not sure that it's a huge service to voters.
I want to meet the dedicated people who do both. Vote today. I'm going to go to the caucus on Thursday. All right. So President Biden, yesterday, he was in Nevada ahead of the Democratic primary, which again is today. He's making headlines for his decision now to skip that traditional Super Bowl Sunday interview. Why is he doing that? What's his campaign saying about it?
Yeah, if you ask the people around Biden, what they'll say is that nobody wants to talk politics during a football game. And there may be, the public doesn't want that. There may be some truth to that. On the other hand, I've spoken to some Democratic strategists in the last couple days that say this is a massive blown opportunity for the president to talk to people basically about football and about whatever he wants to talk to them about. These tend to be softball interviews. That hasn't always been the case. But typically is the case. And there's also frustration with Biden over not having discussed with the American public in a sort of direct-to-camera way the retaliation for Iranian proxies killing American soldiers. So, this is a moment where the president is not in as much view as you might expect at this time of year of an election year, and the Super Bowl is part of that.
All right. John, thanks so much for joining us as always this morning.
Thank you. Now let's get to the candidate throwing a question mark into the potential outcome of the 2024 presidential election. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the independent who's drawn attention and controversy, has both major parties concerned he could shake up the race. NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard spoke with Kennedy and has the latest from his campaign.
Kennedy Jr. With the Biden-Trump rematch looking likely, there is an independent trying to make this a three-way race.
If you give me a sword and some ground to stand on, I will give you back your country.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is mounting an increasingly credible bid to qualify for the 2024 ballot, more than 55 years after his father's presidential run.
How confident are you that you could actually win the White House?
I think I can win the White House.
A new NBC News poll shows 34% of voters suggesting they could see themselves supporting him. But both Biden and Trump's allies fear he could play spoiler.
Who do you think you will draw more voters away from, Donald Trump or Joe Biden?
I mean, I hope to draw equal numbers from both of them. I think at this point, I'm probably drawing more from President Trump.
Trump himself even praising Kennedy.
He's a very good man, and his heart is in the right place, and he's doing really well.
President Biden has not even publicly acknowledged Kennedy's campaign. An environmental lawyer, Kennedy left the Democratic Party last year.
You're a Republican, and you're saying that you would be open to considering RFK Jr.
Yeah. Kennedy speaks often about America's income gap.
What's the main issue for you that brought you to it?
Oh, corporate greed, for sure.
But he has drawn scrutiny from Democrats, including for his discredited assertions vaccines cause autism, and his recent staunch criticism of the COVID shots.
Would you have tried to stop the FDA from approving the COVID vaccine?
I would have said that they need to do science to show that the vaccine is actually going to avert more problems than it's causing.
So would you have sought to stop the FDA from approving the COVID vaccines?
I don't. My policy is not going to interfere with anybody who wants to take a vaccine.
Some of his views led 4 prominent members of his own family to say he does not share the same values as their father.
Why should Americans ignore those words?
Well, listen, I disagree with my family on a lot of stuff. I have family members who strongly support me.
Our thanks to Vaughn Hilliard for that report and that interview. Kennedy says he plans to name his vice presidential running mate within the next month. Now it is time for our weekly mental health check-in. This morning we're taking a look at why more therapists are taking their sessions outdoors.
Plus, renewing your childhood joy. We're diving into why adults are turning to toys as a way to cope with stress.
Here to help us out is Dr. Soumya Dave. She is a psychiatrist and the author of What a Happy Family. Doctor, always great to have you with us. Thanks for being here. So let's start with this trend about moving therapy sessions outdoors. We've talked about the mental health benefits of just spending time outside. What kind of happens when you combine therapy with nature, and how much are we seeing this?
So we really saw a surge of this during the pandemic, with more therapists meeting with their clients outside. Many people found it extremely helpful. They found that they could open up more, that the lack of structure and being outside, as we said, being healing, helped them open up about different things. Now, with that being said, confidentiality is extremely important. And for many people, having the same structure from appointment to appointment is also very important for the work. So 2 things that can be more challenging outside. Now, as you mentioned, Savannah, being outside can be very healing. We know that the Japanese tradition of forest bathing or spending long periods of time in nature and decrease symptoms of depression and anxiety. People report feeling less stressed and more at peace when they're outside too. So I say, if anyone's considering spending more time outside, as we're heading into these warmer months, take this as a sign to incorporate more outside time into your self-care routine.
Always a good idea. I took a long walk in Central Park yesterday.
I love walking home.
Let's switch gears and talk about something called hyper-independence. Independence is, of course, something people are often praised for. Therapists say that when it's taken to the extreme, it can create problems in maintaining relationships. That makes sense. But what are some of the warning signs that maybe you're becoming too independent?
So I like to think of an independent person as someone who knows they can get things done, and then they also know when it's time to rely on other people. A hyper-independent person, on the other hand, they also know they can get things done, but they resist relying on other people, even when it could be a lot better for their health and well-being to do so. People with hyper-independence tend to not delegate as much. They have trouble being vulnerable with other people. They have trouble for asking for help in many different arenas of their lives. Now, this can come from a lot of different places. People raised with chaos, abuse, or neglect in their environments can become hyper-independent. people who have been raised with the belief that it's safer to just rely on themselves. There are many communities and cultures that also take pride in being self-reliant. And of course, children who are given adult responsibilities from a young age, or what we call parentification, they have also learned that it's better for them to just rely on themselves for everything. So I think if anybody identifies with this trait at all, I think it's important to identify one or two people whom you feel safe asking for help and go to them for something that feels low stakes, like running an errand or asking for advice, and then work up from there. Therapy can also be an incredibly helpful and powerful way to explore the origins of this and then also find more tools for support going forward.
So important often to explore the origins. What's going on that's making me feel this way, and try to kind of dig into that. Okay, let's finally talk about this kind of playful, playing with toys, all this kind of stuff. Gen Zers, millennials leaning into this sort of concept of their inner child to try to help them cope with stress, playing with different toys or doing activities that kind of encourage that sense of fun. Why do we see adults embracing this desire to play? And what do you make of this? Are there benefits here?
So one thing we have seen since the pandemic is that many people are evaluating how they are spending their time, and many people are finding that work and productivity aren't everything. Now, I know we think of play usually as something associated with what children do, but in adults, there are a lot of benefits. It decreases stress, decreases the risk of burnout. It increases the chances of finding more community, as we've seen with the rise in popularity of something like pickleball, for example. So many different benefits. And so I think this is something that everybody can benefit from, no matter how old you are. And if you have an activity or activities that feel entertaining, immersive, and also a little bit challenging, I recommend incorporating those into your daily or weekly practices, because again, there's so many benefits no matter how old we are.
I did an improv class recently and was all centered around the idea of play and the benefits of that.
Oh, that's great.
I totally see. Exactly. It's a good example of that kind of adult meets kid. All right.
Look at that, Joe. That's great. Dr. Toby, thank you so much. Always good to see you, Doctor. Coming up, trouble on the tarmac today. The FAA chief set to face lawmakers over the safety of Boeing's grounded 737 MAX 9 planes.
That's, of course, after last month's terrifying in-flight emergency. More on the fallout and the new concerns about the manufacturing of Boeing's jets. Stay with us. You're watching Morning News Now. Welcome back. Airline and passenger safety will be the front and center issue on Capitol Hill later today. The FAA chief is set to testify before lawmakers. He'll be asked about his agency's response to last month's blowout of a door panel plug on a Boeing MAX 9 airliner, along with new reports that Boeing found more manufacturing issues with fuselages on its 737 jets. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello covers aviation for us. He's at Reagan National with more on what to watch out for. Tom, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. So Boeing says it will not allow a plane to roll off the assembly line until it is sure that it is checked and double-checked and 100% up to snuff in terms of its safety systems. Boeing is, of course, under FAA scrutiny. The FAA not allowing Boeing to increase production of its planes until it is confident that quality control is under control. But as you mentioned, the FAA itself under scrutiny for allowing some of these problems with Boeing's to get through.
1 month after the door plug blew out of an Alaska Airlines flight over Portland, forcing the grounding of the Boeing MAX 9 fleet, and 1 day after Boeing reported that its contractor, Spirit Aerosystems, had misdrilled holes in window frames on at least 50 MAXs, FAA Chief Mike Whitaker is today expected to tell Congress he is doubling down on quality control audits and inspections at Boeing and putting more inspectors in Boeing facilities. Whitaker on CNBC this morning.
We're looking at the production system from nose to tail, wingtip to wingtip, to really understand where there might be faults in the system and how do we address those.
The FAA says it's taking a data-driven approach to quality control gaps and FAA surveillance at Boeing. After the MAX 9 emergency and 2 MAX 8 crashes overseas 5 years ago, one poll shows public trust in Boeing has dropped since the midair emergency, from 32% in December to 20% in mid-January. Many members of Congress suggest Boeing's goodwill on Capitol Hill is also running low.
Boeing has a lot more work, though, it needs to do to maintain the confidence of a lot of folks. So we're not trying to politicize this particular issue here in Congress. It's an issue about safety.
The The FAA now reports nearly 94% of the grounded MAX 9s, all flown by Alaska and United Airlines, have been inspected and returned to service. But quality control through Boeing's entire supply chain remains under NTSB and FAA investigation and FAA scrutiny.
And we'll ensure that those airplanes meet all safety standards before we can approve them for delivery.
After a recent safety stand-down on the MAX production line, Boeing says it received 1,000 employee suggestions for improvement. The CEO insists that includes Spirit Aerosystems.
We own our supply chain. We own Spirit. We own the results of our work. We understand that. We really do.
Again, Spirit Aerosystems is the company that makes the fuselage for Boeing. Spirit is the one that flagged to Boeing. We have misdrilled holes in the fuselage. Spirit is very much part of this investigation. It's under FAA and Boeing scrutiny and NTSB scrutiny as well. It says it's cooperating fully with all parties. Joe?
Tom, something else that you've been covering thoroughly. The FAA has been under pressure this past year for some close calls on airport runways, this critical shortage of air traffic controllers. Is that going to come up today?
I think it's highly likely it will come up today. Listen, the FAA, as you know, is the single regulator in the country. The NTSB is the investigator, and the FAA is responsible for safety on the runways and in the skies. You're right. We had a large number of close calls in 2023 on runways in the air, and we don't have enough controllers. By some counts, we're short by about 3,000 controllers because of the retirees, because of COVID. They're trying to ramp up, train new controllers. It takes time. In fact, I just heard it could take up to 7 years, according to one FAA source, before they're back at optimal staffing. So you can imagine all of that will be on the Hill today. And, Joe, as you know, it always comes down to money. Will Congress give them the money to do what they need to do?
Yeah, 7 years. That's a long time. All right, Tom Costello, thank you.
Yeah.
Now let's get to some financial headlines. The Justice Department is frustrated with Live Nation's lack of cooperation in their investigation of Ticketmaster.
CNBC's Bertha Coombs joins us with that and other money news. Bertha, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joe and Savannah. You know, a lot of ticket buyers were frustrated with them a couple of years ago with the Taylor Swift fiasco. Now the Justice Department is reportedly seeking more information from Live Nation as part of its antitrust probe of Ticketmaster on concerns that the company is not cooperating. Lawmakers have slammed Live Nation's lack of transparency and inability to block bots from buying tickets after what we saw happen back in 2022 ahead of Taylor Swift's Eras tour. Bloomberg reports the government could potentially file an antitrust suit against the company later this year. And write down your passcode if you buy a Vision Pro. Bloomberg reports that Apple is telling buyers the only way to reset their passcode is to go to an Apple store or to mail the headset to Apple Care customer support. If you enter the wrong code too many times, the Vision Pro will be disabled, and you'll have to sit through a waiting period to try again. You'll then have to get Apple to reset the code, and that will erase all of the content on your device. That doesn't seem like a great way to go forward. Meantime, a record 68 million Americans are expected to bet more than $23 billion on the Super Bowl, up 35% from last year. A new report from the American Gaming Association says with the expansion of legal sports betting, Super Bowl wagers are expected to surpass casual bets such as betting with friends or in an office pool for a second straight year. Nearly 29 million adults plan to place online bets using a legal U.S. sportsbook. Currently, 38 states and Washington, D.C. have legalized sports betting. I don't know about you, but it would make me too nervous to have money on the line.
Yeah,
I couldn't really enjoy the game, but that's just me.
35%, wow.
Yeah, it's a changing world out there with betting.
There you go.
All right.
Bertha, thank you.
Coming up, remembering a forgotten part of New Orleans' past.
Yep, next on Morning News Now, we're celebrating Black History Month with a look at the new efforts to reintroduce a certain type of music that may surprise you to the Big Easy. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are going to end this hour marking Black History Month by bringing you a story about a forgotten part of New Orleans' musical past that's now being resurrected.
NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson tells us about the new efforts to bring Creole opera back to the Big Easy.
Before becoming the birthplace of jazz, New Orleans in the late 1700s was a city of opera.
Would regular people just be out in the streets singing too?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They knew all of the operatic arias.
And free people of color found success as classical musicians, a history that Giovanna Joseph says has been largely erased.
Why don't we know about these black composers and black singers?
Jim Crow laws.
And a lot of the musicians that had found work here, they started losing those jobs.
Now, Giovanna and her daughter Aria Mason are working to restore that heritage through opera Creole, finding the lost works of local composers of color and giving them a long overdue American debut, including Edmond Dédé's Morgiane, believed to be the first full opera composed by a Black American.
We can see actually the artistic process taking place.
The conductor helping bring the 550-page handwritten opera to life is Patrick Dupree Quigley.
This piece of music is the most important piece of American music that no one has ever heard.
Morgiane will premiere in New Orleans, New York, and D.C. For Giovanna and Aria, a chance to expand the canon of great opera works.
Restorative justice is our goal.
Priscilla Thompson, NBC News, New Orleans.
That is awesome. I would love to see that in person.
Amazing to see and hear.
Exactly.
Fun to have that in that story, yeah.
That's going to do it for this hour. Morning News Now.
Stay with us. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for joining us this Tuesday. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, in the eye of the storm. Flood watches still in place across California after a month's worth of rain lashed the state in a single day. At least 3 people killed by fallen trees as the deadly storm wreaks havoc, triggering mudslides and power outages. We're going to speak with an official about how the region is coping with the severe weather. Also this morning, King Charles begins his cancer treatment one day after Buckingham Palace revealed his diagnosis. What we know about the king's condition is Prince Harry flies in from America to be with his father. Clash on Capitol Hill, Senate Republicans threatening to torpedo the border security bill just one day after they helped negotiate it. The proposed bill, which also includes aid to Ukraine and Israel, was already dismissed by House Republicans before it even reached the floor.
Is not worth the House's consideration here, and that's why it stayed on arrival.
Why Republican lawmakers are pushing back and what's next for the president's embattled national security bill. And finally, later this hour, country music legend Toby Keith has died following a battle with stomach cancer. We're going to look back at the life and legacy of the 62-year-old, known for many hits, including Should Have Been a Cowboy. A lot of people paying tribute this morning.
Absolutely.
After that battle.
Makes you get all those songs stuck in your head.
Exactly.
Think about it.
We'll hear about those in a little bit. We are going to begin with that powerful and deadly storm in California.
Yeah, the atmospheric river dumped record rainfall on Los Angeles, with the city getting a month's worth of rain. Get this, in just a single day. It's the second major storm to hit the already saturated region in just a matter of days, bringing high winds, flash flooding, and dozens of mudslides that are swallowing vehicles, as you can see there, and slamming into homes. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz joins us now from Beverly Glen, California, with the very latest here. Hey, Liz, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Joe. Good morning to both of you. It's still raining here in LA right now, and in this neighborhood where we are, you can see the damage this storm has done. We're in Beverly Glen near Beverly Hills. Just up here, a home was pushed off its foundation from a powerful mudslide. It came crashing down here 50 to 60 feet onto this road. Contents of this home strewn everywhere. We can see parts of a chimney down here. There's a piece of a piano. Over here, a carport you can see collapsed. Now, neighbors here told us it was terrifying. They woke up in the middle of the night to a big boom. They've now evacuated, but they say it's truly incredible that nobody was hurt.
This morning, California is still dealing with damage from the powerful atmospheric river battering the state.
The mud had come down and it broke through the back windows.
The storm flooding streets and causing devastating mudslides, threatening property and lives. From the Hollywood Hills,
this landslide went through the back of their house, through their garage,
pushed all the way down to the street.
To Beverly Hills, where mud practically swallowed this entire SUV. Drone footage showing severe damage to homes in Encino, this one nearly falling off the cliff. First responders carrying out swiftwater rescues to save people and pets. Some families forced to evacuate on foot.
This has never happened.
And you can see the power of this water here. It looks like the contents of someone's garage got swept away. We've seen electronics, a cooler, furniture, and then these massive boulders.
The storm impacting nearly the entire state. In Northern California, 3 people have now died from falling trees. As high winds in Santa Cruz whipped the sea into a froth, the storm setting records for rainfall, with 10 inches falling in 24 hours at UCLA. This family forced to climb into a tree after their vehicle was trapped. And here, firefighters in a chopper rescuing a man who jumped into these rushing waters to save his dog. Thankfully, both the dog and his owner survived.
Now, these homes here have been red tagged. Thankfully, we're told the person inside the home was not there. This house was vacant when it came crashing down, so that's certainly very lucky. Now, as the storm continues, the threat is still ongoing. The soil here is so wet and saturated. There's still concerns about mudslides, landslides, and trees falling in the coming days. Savannah and Joe.
All right, Liz, thank you so much.
Let's bring in Lindsay Horvath now with more on the conditions in L.A. She's the chair of the L.A. County Board of Supervisors. Thank you so much for joining us. I know officials have said the heaviest part of the storm is over. Still, there is still that risk of flooding. What's the situation on the ground this morning? What is it you're seeing?
We have to keep people safe, and right now we're just making sure that even as the storm might lessen in areas of Los Angeles County, that people are still on high alert. Preparation has worked so far. When people follow our directions and work with us as a team, we're able to keep people safe. But as you just said, there's a lot more that we need to do to evaluate the conditions of all of Los Angeles County. We saw the worst of it in my district, some areas getting close to 12 inches in about 24 hours. And so there's a lot that we still have to uncover, but so far we've been able to largely keep people safe here.
Lindsay, President Biden has pledged federal assistance. Where is that needed most right now, and just how needed is it?
It's a great gesture from our president to know that all levels of government, our federal, our state, us at the county and at the city level, not only for the city of Los Angeles, but all 87 cities in Los Angeles County, plus the unincorporated areas that the county board is responsible for. All of us really need this help. By declaring a state of emergency, as the governor and I did, we're able to bring all levels of government together and make sure that we're expediting all resources to residents, and the president's help and focus will make sure we do exactly that.
We know the rain's not over. There's always, of course, the threat of flooding and mudslides. Just what is the county's plan for the coming days now?
So we're going to keep working with people on the ground, make sure that people stay alert. As I said, in our district, we have seen the worst of it. And so making sure that in some of our evacuated areas that we take our time to repopulate those neighborhoods to ensure that the areas are safe, that we continue to assess the damage and make sure that we're looking at all of our county infrastructure as well. We have been able to capture close to 2 billion gallons of water in our infrastructure. So making sure we're reinvesting that back into the system is important too.
Lindsay, what do you want people to keep in mind as they continue to deal with this storm or the aftermath, or as you said, maybe if they are able to return home, how can they stay safe?
Well, I'm really grateful to the residents of LA County who have worked with us and really listened to our directions. It's allowed us to keep people safe, but we have to continue that forward progress. This storm is not over, and even when the rain stops, some of the settlements, some of the adjustments that will happen on the ground are still not complete. So we have to stay on alert and look out for each other, make sure to not only look after your families, but look in on your neighbors and make sure that they have what they need so we're all prepared.
All right, Lindsay Horvath, chair of the LA County Board of Supervisors. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're thinking of you and your community as you brace for the weather still to come and also begin the cleanup process.
Thank you so much.
Let's get more on all of this now from meteorologist Angie Lastman.
She's tracking the storm for us. Still more to come, right, Angie?
Yeah, you're exactly right, guys. We still have a couple of days to deal with some impacts from this system. Folks in Southern California and extending across portions of the Southwest still under these flood alerts as we have more rain on the way. 29 million people under those alerts at this time. We've got some winter alerts up and we've got some wind alerts up across portions of Arizona. Here's the radar right now. You can see still heavy rain draped across some of these same areas that were hit so hard over the past couple of days. We've got alerts that continue to remain as this rain works through. This is going to be something we'll see here through the day today. You can see even as the bulk of the system works a little farther to the east, still dealing with those off and on showers across those already saturated grounds across Southern California. Meanwhile, today, you're going to notice that we'll see an uptick in that heavy snow spreading to the east from this system. The flood conditions will also be possible across parts of the Southwest, and this is just what we'll deal with today. By the time we get into tomorrow, we'll really start to see this system pulling away. The rain will start to wind down for the most part across portions of Southern California. We'll still have some of that left over across parts of the Southwest. And then we'll see the plains pick up some of this snow and even the wet weather, too. This line of rain will work its way across the Great Lakes and across the Midwest here as we get into the later parts of our work week. This, of course, will make travel difficult, especially in the areas that are expecting more rain, already saturated grounds. That's, of course, no surprise for LA and San Diego, stretching over into Phoenix. You have Kingman down to Yuma, also included in that across portions of Arizona. These are the spots that we have that better chance to see some flash flooding through the day today. And on top of that, another couple of inches of rain between now and the middle of our work week. We've got another inch or two set for LA down to San Diego. Phoenix could pick up about a half of an inch, and we'll see some isolated higher amounts across that region as the days go on. The snow is going to be a welcome sight for some ski resorts, of course, but we know that with those stronger winds and the snow falling, the travel is going to be difficult. Notice some of these higher amounts you can see across the Rockies. We could see 1 foot to 1.5 feet in some of those higher elevations. So something to watch over the next couple of days. Now, a couple things to know. We've got the storm out west that we're watching. That's going to start to move east. We've got this storm that is going to continue to move offshore, but it's creating this ridge of high pressure, and that's doing a couple of things when it comes to our temperatures for the middle of the country. It's kind of just stuck there, and that means that we're running 15, 20, even 25 degrees above normal for this time of year. These temperatures feeling a little more like spring than, say, late winter. We've got multiple dozens of expected highs that we could break through Friday. You can see some of these places: Green Bay, Madison, Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, Chicago, Detroit, all on the table to see some record-breaking highs for our daily records over the next few days. Here's what we're expecting today: 60 degrees in Denver, 57 for Kansas City. Both of those locations running more than 15 degrees above normal for this time of year. Chicago's going to hit the mid-40s. I have a feeling some people will be wearing shorts and maybe T-shirts if it's 46 degrees in February in Chicago. Minneapolis, that's a sure bet that they're going to have some shorts breaking out today. 55 degrees for your afternoon high, almost 30 degrees above where you should be for this time of year. That's one spot that we'll watch for a record high later today. And we see it lasting even into tomorrow. More of the same, upper 50s, low 60s expected for Omaha, Dodge City, 58 for St. Louis. And these are going to be something that will stretch into the later parts of our work week. But notice where we end up with these temperatures here as we get into the end of the work week and into the weekend. We'll start to see things kind of a little more mild in some spots. Places like Pittsburgh will end up at 57 degrees. We drop down to the mid-50s by Friday. Still pretty good for February standards. I've already had multiple people asking about the weather this weekend in New York. Guys, 57 on Saturday. I have a feeling, again, folks will be out and about trying to enjoy that. Maybe some patios will be open for people to enjoy. Mid-60s expected in Baltimore by Saturday. We're starting on Thursday at the 50s. So a big warm-up on the way by the time the weekend rolls around in places like Richmond, Raleigh, close to 70 degrees. These, of course, are not normal temperatures, but we're stuck in kind of that pattern that I showed you. So it'll be warm and it'll give you a taste of spring, but don't get used to it, right? It's still February after all. We still have a little ways to go when it comes to winter across the country.
Do some outdoor Super Bowl parties.
There you go.
Oh,
hey, that's That's like Joe just invited us over, I heard.
To your patio? To your terrace?
I don't have a patio.
We'll see you there. I'll bring chips and dips.
We'll stand on the sidewalk.
Walk on the way.
I don't have a TV there, but you know. All right.
And if you did, it's from the 90s.
Yeah, that's true.
Just kidding, Andy, thank you.
This morning, the world is reacting to the shocking announcement that King Charles has been diagnosed with cancer. The palace says the king is back in London, where he started his outpatient care. NBC News foreign correspondent Molly Hunter reports from Buckingham Palace.
Today, the royal family is rallying around King Charles. Prince Harry flying over to the UK to be with his father. But the palace says that King Charles is wholly positive about his treatment.
The news shocking the country.
King Charles has begun receiving treatment for cancer.
And the world.
King Charles has been diagnosed with cancer.
Buckingham Palace announcing King Charles III has been diagnosed with a form of cancer. This morning, on this side of the pond, dominating every newspaper front page. The announcement comes just a week after the 75-year-old monarch was released from a London hospital following a routine prostate procedure. He appeared then in good spirits with wife Queen Camilla by his side. The palace not saying what kind of cancer it is, only revealing that during the king's recent hospital procedure for benign prostate enlargement, a separate issue of concern was noted. Subsequent diagnostic tests have identified a form of cancer, adding that Charles began outpatient treatment on Monday. And this morning, Britain's Prime Minister weighing in.
Thankfully, this has been caught early, and now everyone will be wishing him that he gets the treatment that he needs.
The palace confirms the king shared his diagnosis personally with sons Harry and William. And a source close to Harry and Meghan tells NBC News Harry is traveling to the UK to visit his father. And as the king will be stepping back, at least for now, and with Kate, the Princess of Wales, still recovering from her own health scare last month, this leaves the burden of royal engagements largely on the shoulders of Prince William. Well wishes for Charles also coming from across the Atlantic.
Concerned about him, just heard his diagnosis.
Turning 75 last November, Charles waited a record-setting 7 decades to finally wear the crown, the oldest monarch to take the throne in modern history. He's been king for almost 17 months.
Having to take a step back, recuperate, undergo cancer treatment, that will have an impact on the sort of job the king can do.
Now, the king will definitely be taking a step back. The palace says, though, he will continue to undertake state business and official paperwork, is what they call it in that statement. That means private meetings when he's feeling well enough. Queen Camilla will keep her full schedule while also, of course, supporting her husband. And we will certainly be seeing a lot more of Prince William when he returns to public duties tomorrow for the first time since his wife was in the hospital.
All right, Molly, thank you.
Let's bring in Katie Nichol for more on this. She's an NBC News contributor and a royal correspondent at Vanity Fair. Katie, thanks very much for joining us. So tell us just how are people on the ground there responding, not just to the diagnosis, the fact that he said he has cancer, but the fact that he is actually sharing that, sort of breaking with tradition and being as transparent as he's being.
I think it's been very, it's been very welcomed that they have been so transparent and of course, very concerning. I think, you know, here in Britain, we look to the monarchy for stability and continuity. And, you know, this unsettles not just the monarchy, which has literally been spun on its axis, really in light of this diagnosis, but also the British public. And I think there is concern, but we know that the king is very optimistic about his treatment. His medical team are very hopeful that this has been caught early and can be treated. And indeed, he's already undergone his first course of treatment here in London. So, yes, I think shock and surprise, and particularly because it comes off the back of 2 really shocking announcements just last month, out of Kensington Palace with the princess's diagnosis and, of course, out of Buckingham Palace for what we thought at the time was a pretty standard procedure. I don't think anyone was too worried about, but, of course, people are worried now.
So, Katie, we know King Charles is going to postpone his public duties, but what could this mean for just how he carries out all the other things that a king does, maybe things behind the scenes we don't often see, and how much you expect to see Prince William step up here?
Well, look, I think behind the scenes and the things we don't see will probably continue as normally as possible. I know, for example, while he was recovering from this procedure to his prostate, that he was back at work. He was doing light desk duties. I mean, let's not forget this man is a workaholic. We know that because his wife, Queen Camilla, has told us so. He's often here at the palace, at Clarence House, working, you know, into the early hours. It just really depends on how he deals with this treatment, how intrusive, invasive it is, how tired it leaves him feeling. But I think his intention is to do as much as he can behind the scenes. What he won't be able to do is get out there, meet the public, get on a plane and do a long-haul trip. So what does that mean? Well, I think that impacts on other members of the royal family, and as you point out, particularly Prince William. I mean, we're not going to see Princess Catherine for some time, but I think it's going to be the Prince of Wales who we see stepping up to the plate and possibly carrying out some of those plans that are in the pipeline for travel around the Commonwealth later this year if the King is unable to.
Katie, we of course have to talk about this Prince Harry development. We are hearing he is set to visit London. Of course, this is after the relationship between father and son has been quite strained as far as we know. Do you think this situation changes things, and what's been the reaction to his making this trip?
I do think it changes things. I think the fact that Prince Harry has got on the plane immediately shows that, you know, I don't necessarily think that that's an indicator that this is terribly serious. I don't think that's the case. I think he wants to be here for his father. He hasn't seen his father for a very long time. I think it was at the coronation, and they didn't actually get to have any time together. This is obviously serious. It's very concerning, and I think it's at moments like this when there's a major serious health issue that often rifts are just put aside. You get on that plane, you get over here, and you go and see your dad, and that's what he's doing.
All right, Katie Nichol, thank you very much for joining us on this.
On Capitol Hill, a shocking reversal from Republicans on the bipartisan border security bill just one day after they helped negotiate it. After a closed-door meeting on Monday, several Republican senators said they expect their party will not vote to move the legislation forward. For more, let's go to NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles in Washington. Ryan, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. Yeah, the border crisis is extending in cities across the country, but here in Washington, a solution remains elusive. And much like the last 4 decades, Republicans and Democrats are now blaming each other for the growing immigration problem.
The vibes in Washington are not good. Republicans and Democrats both raising serious concerns about the $118 billion national security package, to the point where the bill's future is in serious doubt.
And this bill does not meet the criteria, and that's why it's dead on arrival.
For Republicans like House Whip Tom Emmer, the bill does not do enough to address the border crisis.
You have given us a product that, quite frankly, is offensive to the American people and unacceptable.
But the Democrat who led the negotiations, Senator Chris Murphy, says the concerns are not related to the policy, but instead the politics of an election year.
What they seem to want is just chaos. They want to keep the border unsolved as a problem so that it benefits them in the upcoming election.
Trump slamming the bill again overnight.
This is a Democrat trap that would be so stupid, so foolish to sign a bill like this.
If the bill stalls, it will mean there will be no path toward changing the situation at the border. Frustrating for Sheriff Javier Salazar on the front lines in Bexar County, Texas. He's begging for something to get done.
To us, it's not a red and blue issue. It's about the gold in our badges.
The growing problem, part of the reason Republican Senator James Lankford took the lead in negotiating a fix, and is warning his colleagues about the consequences of doing nothing.
It's a national security crisis, and we should treat it that way.
And while the House has called the bill dead on arrival, they are pushing forward with the effort to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas.
8 yeas, 4 nays.
And the ayes have it.
The Rules Committee sending the articles of impeachment to the floor for a full vote today.
And the vote to impeach Mayorkas is no guarantee. Republicans can only afford to lose 2 votes after Ken Buck of Colorado said that he plans to vote no. Mayorkas has called the impeachment push a political stunt. Joe?
All right, Ryan, thank you. Coming up, saying goodbye to a country music icon.
Yeah, we're going to look back at the life of singer Toby Keith, who passed away at the age of 62 following a battle with cancer. That is up next.
We are back now with breaking news. Country music star Toby Keith has passed away after a battle with stomach cancer.
NBC News correspondent Ann Thompson joins us now with a look back at his life. Hi, Ann. Good morning.
Good morning. This was a shocking way to wake up this morning. News that Toby Keith had died. It was announced on his website saying that he passed away peacefully at home, surrounded by his family. This is a major loss for the country music world. With thousands of songs and dozens of chart-topping hits, the bold...
Welcome back. We're only weeks into the primary election season, but it's looking more and more likely that we will see a rematch this fall in the general election between the current president, Joe Biden, and the previous one, Donald Trump.
Yeah, but a new NBC News poll out this morning is highlighting concerns voters have with both probable nominees. At the top of the list, age and fitness.
For more, let's bring in NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray. Mark, good morning. So according to the poll, it seems more Democrats are concerned about President Biden's age than Republicans are with former President Trump. What's the polling data telling us about this?
Yeah, Joe, overall, 76% of voters say that they have either major or moderate concerns about Joe Biden's age and fitness for serving in a second term. That compares to 48% who end up having the same type of concerns about former President Donald Trump. And as you ended up mentioning, the biggest difference is by party. Half of Democrats end up saying that they have concerns about President Biden's age and fitness versus just 20% of Republican voters who have the same concerns about Donald Trump.
Mark, as Trump runs for office for a third straight time, he's also having, of course, to spend days in court as he faces these criminal and civil trials for alleged wrongdoing. How do voters feel about that as it intersects with Trump's run for the White House?
Yeah, Savannah, we also asked that question. You know, I mentioned to you the 76% of voters who have concerns about Joe Biden's age. We asked a question on, do you have concerns about Donald Trump's multiple felonies and all the criminal and legal challenges that he ends up facing? 61% of voters ended up saying that they have concerns. That's a big number, but it's not as big as the 76 who have concerns about Joe Biden's age.
You poll a lot about a lot of stuff. You ask a lot of questions. Any other key findings stand out to you?
Yeah, Joe, on this particular topic, these are the same questions that we asked in our September 2023 survey. And what really stands out is that not a lot has changed. And of course, we've seen so much movement on the legal front for Donald Trump, so much campaign back and forth, but these numbers really haven't budged all that much. And so I actually think that is very interesting, where when it comes to Trump's legal challenges and President Biden's age, that attitudes seem to be pretty locked in.
All right, we'll see if anything changes as the year moves on. I feel like as things intensify, we could see who knows what.
Yeah.
All right. Mark, thank you so much.
Maybe the same candidates.
Exactly.
There we go. Thank you. Meanwhile, this week, Republicans in Nevada will make their pick for their party's preferred presidential candidate. Voters will have the chance to take part on 2 separate days and 2 different processes, but only one of those will actually count. NBC News Now anchor Hallie Jackson explains how it all works.
Even before the election in Nevada, a declaration of victory from former President Trump.
I'm pleased to announce we just won Nevada.
He hasn't technically won Nevada, not yet, but he almost certainly will, even though he's not even on the primary ballot. Sound confusing? Join the club.
It doesn't make much sense to me.
I think our voting system, frankly, is a mess.
Here's the deal. In Nevada this year, registered Republicans will have 2 election days, and they can participate in both. On Thursday, a caucus, like what we saw in Iowa, people gathering in gyms and cafeterias. But up first, a more traditional primary, people lining up to cast ballots. Ballots that do not include Donald Trump's name, as you see here, because candidates cannot compete in both contests. And this year, only the caucuses count for Nevada Republicans when it comes to delegates.
Do the caucus, not the primary. The primary is meaningless.
So how did we get here? In 2020, the Democratic side dealt with complaints of inconsistencies and reporting problems in caucuses, especially in Iowa. So the Dems, who controlled Nevada at the time, passed a law to move to a primary system instead. Nevada Republicans wanted to stick with the caucuses. And under the new law, the state party can, so they are. Partly because, experts say, caucuses favor former President Trump, who has a more loyal base of supporters, more likely to show up.
He would certainly benefit more from the caucus system. And so for a lot of people in the state, it's also viewed as a way to boost his candidacy relative to the other Republicans.
Do you think this was done to be able to help Donald Trump in Nevada?
Oh, I absolutely believe that's exactly why it was done.
Former Clark County Republican Chair Chuck Muth worries this new process will turn off voters because of how messy it seems.
I've been warning how stupid this was and what a public relations disaster it was going to be. And I hate to say that I told you so, but I don't hate saying I told you so because I did tell them that this was going to happen, and anybody could have looked at that and seen it.
Now, confusion and conspiracies. Online, one post accusing the establishment of shoving Nikki Haley down our throat. Another, outraged and disgusted Mr. Trump isn't on the primary ballot.
Washoe County Republican Party.
Some GOP county chairs reporting thousands of phone calls from mad and mystified Republicans.
The phone is ringing off the hook. I got to have a short, concise answer that not only answers their question, but gives them the direction on how to succeed.
Nevada GOP Chairman Michael McDonald telling the Associated Press this fall, until we get voter ID and we get the mail-in ballot situation under control, the only pure way to have this is through a caucus. The state's governor, Joe Lombardo, has endorsed Mr. Trump, saying for all practical purposes, the race is over. As for Nikki Haley, she is not competing in the caucuses, but her name is on the primary ballot.
Talk to the people in Nevada. They will tell you the caucuses have been sealed up, bought and paid for a long time. And so that's why we got into the primary. But we're going to focus on the states that are fair.
Still, keep in mind, even if Haley were to win the primary, it would be a hollow victory since she would not get any delegates, with 26 of them on the line. That's no small haul, considering Mr. Trump won 32 in New Hampshire and Iowa combined. Only Nevada's caucus winner can claim Nevada's delegates and move one step closer to the nomination.
Nevada will show up and we will deliver you 100% of delegates for the state of Nevada to Donald J. Trump.
All right, thanks to Hallie Jackson for that report. And just in case you're counting, there are 26 delegates up for grabs in Nevada in the Republican race.
Coming up, feeling the pinch.
Mortgage rates are rising again. So what's behind the latest move and what does it mean for borrowers hoping to buy a new home? We've got details next with our friend Caleb Silver. There he is. Stick around. Welcome back. We've got some economic news for you. Maybe not great news for home buyers. Mortgage rates are climbing again.
The average rate for a 30-year fixed mortgage hit 7.04% on Monday. It's the first time it's landed above 7% since December.
For more on the rate changes, what they mean to you, let's bring in, of course, our friend Caleb Silver, editor-in-chief at Investopedia. As always, thank you very much for being here, Caleb. So interest rates, they've been on this wild ride since October as we've seen these different rates, and then we're getting little hints at what we might hear from the Fed here. So what is behind this latest increase? Why did we just see this jump again?
Yeah, the Fed was pretty clear last week when it decided to hold interest rates right where they are, but then Fed Chair Powell saying we're in no hurry to lower interest rates. The 30-year mortgage, very sensitive to the Fed funds rate, but super sensitive to the 10%, the 10-year U.S. Treasury. So that keeps bouncing up and down. And the Fed said we need to just relax and look at more data. That means more inflation reports, more jobs reports. As my teenage daughters say to me, take several seats because we need to see more data before we start lowering interest rates.
Many seats, all the seats. So, I mean, when we talk about say it's half a percentage point, what's actually the impact of that for people?
Yeah, half a point is a $200 move in a mortgage rate in your monthly mortgage payment. So if rates go down 0.5%, you're looking to get that mortgage, that can mean $200 less. If they go up, $200 more. If you have a variable mortgage, it's going to actually impact how much you pay every month. So they're super sensitive to these rates, and we can't avoid it. The good news is that rates are probably going to go lower towards the end of the year. We thought it might be sooner. We thought the Fed might be lowering in March, maybe now in May. Maybe we have to wait a little bit longer till August. As the Fed lowers rates or even indicates it, you're going to see mortgage rates start to fall a little bit. But this housing market has been in a deep freeze. Last year, the worst year for the U.S. housing market since 1995.
What exactly do you think they could drop to when you say by the end of the year we could see them dropping?
Yeah, we look at the National Association of Realtors. Their forecast is for rates to drop to around 6.5%, 6.3% by the end of the year. And we expect home sales to pick up. There's so much demand out there for people who want to buy, but also for people who've been thinking about selling. Don't forget, about 40% of the homes in this country have no mortgage on them at all. And most people, 50%, have a mortgage less than 5%. They're in no hurry to sell right now if they have to go out and get a higher mortgage, and they know demand is there, so they're going to be the ones in the bargaining seat.
You mentioned that eye-popping number, worst we'd seen since 1995. I think a lot of people feeling more optimistic about this year. The spring real estate season is ahead, which is usually a time where we see a boost in things. What's it going to look like in the spring?
It's going to be a frenzy because as soon as rates drop a little bit, people are going to want to get out there and put money down. So if you're a potential buyer, you have to be ready to buy. You have to be ready to take action. Have your documents ready. Have your cash ready for that down payment, the closing costs, 3+ months of mortgage payments, because it is going to be a seller's market, and there's going to be a lot of competition for
When you
homes.
say documents, like what type of things do people need to keep in mind to be as ready as possible?
Yeah, your lending documents, your income statements, your tax returns, your bank statements, everything that shows you are credit worthy, your credit score, obviously, that impacts the mortgage you're going to get. And don't forget, the mortgage on the door is not the one you're necessarily going to get. The price is never always the price, always extra fees, always different ways to look at it. Be ready to shop around and be ready to pounce if you are a buyer in this market, because it's going to be competitive.
So the sellers are finally like, okay,
yes.
it's coming, finally.
It just made me stressed hearing all that.
You can do it.
Documents, this is a competition.
It's going to be
We'll
tough.
talk more later. All
We
right,
will.
Caleb Silver, thank you very much. Always great to have you.
Let's get some more financial headlines, starting with news from Meta about a new way that it's approaching AI-generated content.
We've got CNBC's Bertha Coombs back with us this hour. Hey, Bertha, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Savannah and Joe. Yeah, Meta Platforms, a parent company of Instagram and Facebook, announcing today new ways the company will identify and label AI-generated content on its social media platforms. It's launching several tools that can spot AI content by using invisible markers. Meta will start labeling such images posted to Facebook and Instagram from other sites and content creators such as Google, OpenAI, Adobe, and Shutterstock. Meta says this is a significant step forward with several high-profile elections around the world this year, not to mention here, and the surge in deep fakes and misinformation. Nintendo reporting strong profit and sales on the back of its hit game, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. The company says demand for the newest game in the long-running franchise remains solid, and sales of the newest Legend of Zelda game also surged. Nearly 11 million copies of the Super Mario game have been sold worldwide since it launched in October. And build a better Whopper if you dare. You could win $1 million. Burger King announcing a contest where you can submit your dream toppings for its signature burger. You have until St. Patrick's Day to enter through Burger King's website or app. Customers will vote for their favorite, and the winner will get the $1 million prize, and the custom Whopper will be sold at restaurants for a limited time. Not to brag, but, you know, the cafeteria asked for our favorite recipes during the pandemic, and my mahi-mahi burger with avocado salsa and avocado on whole grain bread was one of the ones featured in the cafeteria. You might have seen that.
Wow.
Maybe last year.
I think you got to enter the Burger King contest now, Bertha.
Right?
I don't know about a salmon burger at
I'm thinking
Burger
of
King.
Definitely avocado.
Yeah,
avocado always.
I agree with that.
All right. Thank you, Bertha. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Coming up, the countdown is on to Super Bowl 58.
As the Chiefs and 49ers prepare to lock helmets on Sunday, we've got all the best moments from yesterday's raucous opening night in Las Vegas. Stay tuned for that.
Welcome back. So, of course, the commercials, they are a big part of the Super Bowl. But get this year, one viewer is going to get the chance to win everything that's being advertised. The delivery platform DoorDash has launched a competition called All the Ads. They have a running list of prizes, and they're updating it every time a new ad is announced. So far, this list includes everything from vehicles, BMW, Kia, Volkswagen, and then other items like Nerds, Reese's Cups, Popeye's Wings. Well, to stand a chance of winning, you need to watch out for a promo code that's going to run during an ad break on Sunday, and then you're going to enter it at a special website. So best of luck. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I'm wondering, now my head is wondering, are there things that maybe you, like, you know, prescription drugs or something where you'd be like, I don't need that.
Right, like where will they
good.
draw the line?
Exactly, but most of it I think would be pretty cool.
There you go, multiple cars.
Exactly, no kidding, yeah. All right, let's stay with Super Bowl 58. 5 days to go until the 49ers face off against the Chiefs in Las Vegas. And last night, all the players were out for what's known as opening night. Our contributing correspondent, Kaylee Hartung, was there in the middle of all the action. Kaylee, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joe. So Super Bowl's opening night is always something of a circus, but put it in Las Vegas, add in the Taylor Swift effect, and the frenzy, it was unprecedented. Yes, Chiefs star Travis Kelce was the center of attention, but he and his teammates took it all in stride, even as the 49ers faithful tried to remind everybody who's the favorite in this Super Bowl rematch.
Super Bowl champion!
Super Bowl week officially kicking off, with the Chiefs and the 49ers meeting on the same field they'll play Sunday.
Ladies and gentlemen, here they are, the best of the best.
Eyeing the Lombardi Trophy. In front of a fired-up crowd, heavily favoring Niners faithful.
Y'all are firing me up. Make me want to play right now, baby. I love the boos, man. I love the cheers.
Faithful, you've showed up all season. Keep booing the Chiefs. Let's go.
Thousands of media from around the world angling to get up close with the stars of the game, as one famous Chiefs fan dominated much of the conversation.
Are you prepared to disappoint Taylor Swift?
Yes.
Taylor Swift's historic Grammys night, giving boyfriend Travis Kelce extra motivation.
I told her I'll have to hold up my end of the bargain and come home some hardware, too.
How many times have you met Taylor Swift?
Once.
Once
more than the average person, you know?
Super Bowl 58 will feature what was once considered an improbable clash between quarterbacks. 49ers Brock Purdy going from the last pick in the draft to the NFL's biggest stage in just 2 years.
And I fell last for a reason. And so I haven't held any grudges against other teams. It all happened how it needed to.
As Patrick Mahomes has built the league's newest dynasty in Kansas City.
I couldn't have ever envisioned being in my fourth one, and it's a great experience every time.
A win on Sunday would make the Chiefs the first team to win back-to-back Super Bowls in nearly 2 decades.
I want this one more than I've ever wanted a Super Bowl in my life.
When you guys hear people talking about the Chiefs building a dynasty, how does that make you feel?
To be a part of one myself, like, that's a dream come true, and, it's a blessing, and, we got to finish the story.
But the 49ers are on a mission to avenge a heartbreaking loss to the Chiefs in Super Bowl 54.
Man, I didn't watch the Super Bowl for like a year and a half after I lost, and not lying. I can see it in everyone's eyes, man, the way they talk. Everyone's really locked in.
Las Vegas delivering an opening night spectacle unlike any other.
Did Christian answer your question? No. They're just here for the selfie.
I'll tell you, this is a great city. I think it's great for the National Football League. The people are passionate, and they've got a good team.
Guys, the buzz around this game is only getting louder. And considering Taylor Swift announced at the Grammys that she is dropping a new album, of course, Travis Kelce was asked about that. He said with a big smile on his face, it's unbelievable, and he cannot wait for her to shake up the world when she releases it. He wouldn't give anything away beyond that, other than saying repeatedly he is squarely focused on this game. Guys.
Which can be hard with all the distractions. Also, by the way, it's hard to crack Blue Man Group. I'm guessing they were rooting for the Lions, right? Blue?
You'd think. That would make too much sense.
All right, Kaylee, thank you so much.
Well, finally this hour, we meet Brazilian surfer Maya Gabeira. She's been at the top of her game for over a decade, fighting through life-threatening injuries, asthma, and gender bias, all while riding the waves and racking up a few world records in the process. NBC News correspondent Ellison Barber takes a look at her incredible story of resilience and how she, hopes to inspire the next generation of surfers.
Wow. That's a beautiful ride.
For Brazilian surfer Maya Gabeira, her dreams have always been as big as the waves she surfs.
The world record was always a dream of mine.
For nearly 20 years, the 5'5" big wave surfer has taken on the male-dominated sport by storm.
I love to be in the ocean. I think I'm probably more comfortable and happy in the ocean than in land.
She's a 7-time world champion and holds 2 Guinness World Records, including this record-smashing surf in 2020.
I was a little bit frightened at that moment, to be honest.
Maya riding a 73.5-foot wave in Nazaré, Portugal.
I just heard that immense explosion, and I realized not only it was really, really tall, but it was very powerful, and it was very close to me.
The biggest wave surfed by anyone that year, and the biggest wave ever ridden by a woman. This January, another victory. At 36 years old, Maya, once again, taking the top spot at Nazaré's Big Wave Challenge.
I was coming back from an injury, so that's always very challenging.
Her journey to greatness is a story of perseverance and courage.
Every day, you would go to the beach and not really see any girls in your everyday like surfing routine.
She moved from Brazil to Hawaii when she was just 17, quickly getting herself into big wave competitions and winning.
I kind of ventured into the world of surfing always with boys.
But in October 2013, one of those massive Nazaré waves nearly killed her, knocking her unconscious and breaking her ankle before a fellow surfer helped pull her out to safety. Doctors warned her she may never be able to compete again. But she got back on the board, setting her first Guinness World Record just 5 years later.
I think that's in sports, right? I mean, every sport you fall and you get injured and you want to get back up because you love it.
Her love for the ocean, also something she works on off the board. She's an ocean conservationist and an advocate with organizations like UNESCO and Oceana.
I just try to find all the ways I can maximize my time out there. I think it's a great place to get in touch with nature, to learn, to be connected.
And one more thing on her resume, children's book author, writing stories inspired by her real-life experiences of breaking records and gender stereotypes, plus overcoming her own challenges, like asthma.
I got one little girl come up to me once after the book, and she grabbed onto me. I think she was around 6 or so. She was like, "But do you really have asthma?" And I was like, "Yes." She was like, "I have it too." So it's unique when you can connect to kids like that.
Now Maya's inspiring other young surfers to take on the waves, even if it means getting knocked off once or twice.
Wow, can you even imagine?
No.
That on your back?
Not at all.
So scary. Ellison Barber, what an inspiring story. Thank you so much.
That'll do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.